This is the address of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, on the launch of the cleanup of the Ogoni land and other oil-impacted communities in the Niger Delta at Bodo River State on this day, Thursday, the 2nd of June, 2016. Today marks another milestone in the life of our administration. I recall the time as a military head of state when I visited Bodo town in Ogoni land. During that visit, I commissioned a large fish pond and planted a tree as a sign of that government's concern for the environment. Unfortunately, since then, the degradation of land, water, and air has done huge damage to the fragile ecosystem of the Niger Delta, particularly Ogoni land. Oil exploration and production has been going on in Nigeria for 6 decades. Oil has given a boost to the Nigerian economy, but the ecosystem of the Niger Delta has been severely damaged. Fishing and agriculture has been badly affected. There were acts, enactments, laws, guidelines, regulations to govern the operators of the oil industry. However, either because of lack of will or willful non-compliance with environmental laws and regulations, the environment was put in jeopardy. The various communities in the Niger Delta region, noting the negative impact of oil production and lack of consideration for best practices, quite rightly commends the struggle for justice and fair play in the conduct of business by the oil industry operators. This process unfortunately led to loss of lives and properties. International concern was raised, while past governments were urged to take decisive steps in addressing the damage. The administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo engaged the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, to undertake of Ogoni land. UNEP reports detailed a number of issues for consideration, while recommendations were made for its implementation. The report was submitted
We are sorry about that hitch.
The report was submitted to my predecessor in office in 2011, but the implementation was not accorded the necessary support it required. The people of Ogoni land continue to suffer from pollution of air, land, and water. On Thursday, the 8th of January 2015, in the course of our presidential campaign, we made an unscheduled stop in Ogoni land. After listening to the address presented on behalf of the Ogoni people by Senator Magnus Abe, we made a solemn commitment that if given the opportunity, we shall implement the UNEP report on Ogoni land. We are determined to put right the wrongs of the past, where the people of this land were treated unfairly and the environment unduly degraded and polluted. Today, we are in Ogoni land, in the heart of the Niger Delta, to fulfill our promise to you and to bring justice and succor to our people. The cleanup of this land will require change on the part of all those who deal with the Niger Delta environment, particularly the oil companies and our communities. The tempo of activities for this assignment increased when my cabinet was constituted. The Honorable Minister of Environment consulted all relevant ministries that could actualize the UNEP report. Several stakeholder meetings and activities were held. We are therefore laying a solid foundation today for the restoration of the fragile ecosystem of Ogoni land and the rest of the Niger Delta. This is an epoch-making event in the history of Nigeria. The UNEP report indicated a timeline of 25 to 30 years to achieve a full restoration of the environment of the Niger Delta. The first step begins with a solid foundation, which will be brought about through consultation, transparency, accountability, investing in the people and environment. There's therefore now a serious need for all Nigerians, irrespective of political, ethnic, or religious affiliations, to support the efforts of this administration. I've given approval to the constitution of the necessary institutional framework that will drive a hitch-free implementation of the UNEP report. Our lives, socio-economic and political interests depend to a great extent on the quality of our environment. Let me seize this opportunity to sound a note of warning. The current oil thefts and illegal refining will not be tolerated. The regulators in the oil industry must all live up to their expectations. They must ensure that oil companies carry out their operations in line with universal oil field best practices. This administration is laying a foundation for change. Therefore, the rule of law, good governance, as well as the security of our people are paramount. The government places high emphasis on the diversification of our economy. The drive is to ensure that the Nigerian economy is strong and capable of supporting our teeming young people through job and wealth creation. The cleanup of Ogoni land has embedded in the program livelihood and sustainable development components. A center of excellence that will identify the skill gaps and provide the necessary training will be put in place. The methodology for the cleanup will ensure job creation for young people. The agro-allied industry required for the processing of the agricultural produce will also be put in place in the course of the cleanup project. The host communities as well as transit communities are enjoined to keep the environment clean, devoid of oil pollution. The reports of oil pollution in the Nigerian environment show that a significant percentage is due to sabotage and willful vandalism of oil company facilities. The recent upsurge in the blasting of pipelines in the operation areas of several of the oil companies is a case in point. These incidents brought about drastic reduction in our daily oil production, as well as the quantum of gas that feed power plants for electricity generation. Inadequate power supply has consequential implications on our economy and wealth creation. The action of these saboteurs of our economy therefore increases the poverty cycle everywhere, including in their own communities. Given the current situation in the Niger Delta, it must be borne in mind that destroying the Niger Delta environment by oil companies, by militants or oil thieves have the same end result. The important thing is that the present government can do justice to all without us destroying our environment. And so I enjoin the traditional rulers, the elite, opinion leaders, the press, women, as well as young people of Ogoni land and the Niger Delta to work conscientiously and to ensure that we put an end to all forms of oil installation vandalism and sabotage. I wish to place on record the appreciation of the federal government of Nigeria to the United Nations Environmental Programme, which continues to support the efforts aimed at making our environments a safe place to dwell in. It's my hope that we will all join hands to make this epoch-making event a grand success. I hope to come and inspect progress of this assignment before long, and I expect to see visible improvement in the environmental conditions here. The choice is for you and I to keep our environment clean and nurture the Niger Delta back to its lost glory. The beginning of this cleanup exercise is clear evidence that the likes of Ken Saro-Wiwa and other sons of Ogoni land, who fought so hard for environmental justice, did not fight in vain. Let this day mark the beginning of the restoration of not just the environment of Ogoni land, but of peace and prosperity to the great